A very good morning to you. Welcome to our Sake Online. This is the Cite View, a show that looks at politics and current affairs and everything happening in Zimbabwe. Over the past few weeks and days in Bulawayo, there's been high budget consultation meetings happening in various places. One of them being Selborne Hotel in the CBD, and the other being Lobengula Hall in Lobengula. So people came out in large numbers to speak about different issues that they want to see being tackled by the Minister of Finance and Economic Development as it tables the 2025 budget there next month. So one of the key issues that people touched on was the issue of the water crisis in Bulawayo. To say the minister must allocate money towards the issue of water, solving the water crisis in Bulawayo. As you know, the Treasury promised to give Bulawayo 15 million. However, only 1 million has been given to Bulawayo to solve the issue of the water crisis in Bulawayo. On top of the issues again was the issue of pensioners. We're complaining to say NASA must increase their pay raise. Some of the people spoke about the issue, say they are earning peanuts, and NASA must increase the amount of money that they are earning per month. Some of them say they've been working for this government, working in Zimbabwe for many years, but however, the money that they're earning is lesser. And other issue that they tackled was the issue of the budget of the education, to say they must allocate money for the education sector. One of the people who came there, spoke about the issue of learners getting grants, and also some people spoke about teachers also getting better salaries. So a lot of issues were tackled out there during the budget consultation meetings. We hope the Minister of Finance will hear these consultation meetings and also add them as it delivers this budget next month in the Parliament in Mount Hampton there. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Please tune in for Cite for more updates, for more stories, and follow Cite on all platforms to enjoy our stories and our shows.
Uhulumende kurevenue ayicollectayo ngasinanzelele nathi asila suwa, asila mgwaqo, asila magetsi, lingakhangela linanzelele kakhulu i-country park ye ele high crime because abantwana bethu abasebenzi bayadubeka bagcina be-opta ukwenza okwama-drugs and other things. So besicela ukuthi uhulumende kurevenue ayicollectayo ikakhulu le engangezelela emalini kumbe sithi eyomgwaqo, umthelo yomgwaqo abese sinanzelela lathi asenzele nje khona khona athi nje amanye malokuthi sibe lamagetsi sibe lamanzi. Bese ngibuya futhi ku situation ye vending. Lingakhangela i-city council we call it ukuthi thina nxa singama vendor it's highly employing, meaning I employ myself under the premises of the city council, but thina asikho recognized ama vendors. Siyayekelwa sinjalo kwesinye isikhathi lingakhangela imali ecollectwa kuma vendors iwela kuma wrong hands. What do I mean? Uzabuya umpholisa nje mama yabona lapho thengisela khona akuvunyelwe faka phela idola zibuza ukuthi idola nxa li-collector from ku-30 khonale esiyabambe enkulumane i-revenue enganani elahlekileyo ingena ezikhwameni zehulumende ukuthi incede ukuyakha ama-facilities ukuthi abantu bakwanise ukuvenda. Why I repeat to say city council is the only employing company that yes, I will employ myself and go to the road. And there is always cat and mouse with city council security, with ZRP. Sibaninga imali yazinyanga ukuthi nxa ngibanika imali nanithengisela wo hyper lapha. Umnike dollar about $30 is going to wrong hands. Sihambe ezidlela yena senze njani so uhulumende konapho kananzelela ukuthi at least ngathi khona you are illegal vendors fine, we understand. While still preparing a place for you, bring those dollars, they enter in the correct pocket, then they facilitate us as vendors, as we wait. There is no way which is certain consequences are puma. We will keep on chasing each other. Till in this industry. We all want to carry handbags to it. But if I intervene, no entirely. So, Stella Konapi, government is nothing.
Ask Kangela in iyabhadala sibili kodwa iyaphuza. So mina ngomcabanga kade ngilawo ngokuthi ibhimu ngayibuye umama asset towards isikole ngoba ingabuyimali imali ethi ingasasebenzi. So nxa ibhimu ithe isikolo izabhadala kumbe olumnyaka ngathi yabhadala abantu abayi2 million. Let's cost isikolo ngasinye sithi ukuthi sithethe abantwana abayi500 imali yabo imali sibathengele kumbe furniture. What do you want? We prioritize sibathengele ngoba nxa singathi sizaletha kuyimali isiyabuya ngoDisemba kayisanjani kayisasebenzi. So kasicosteni sibanike izinto abazifunayo. Isikolo lesikolo ayinozi lama priorities eziyabe zilawo. So kasizameni ukuthi ngazo zonke indlela sibone ukuthi siyaqhakathekisa i-education yethu njengelizwe. Then okunye mfuna ukuthi ngikukhangele njengomuntu omutsha ukukhulunywe ngendaba yama youth center. I think lami ngiqalisa ukuvula amehlo ngaqalisa ukubona ukuthi ugovernment lesifiso sokuthi afaka ama youth center kumbe ama recreation facilities amahle. Into enhle kakhulu ngumbono kodwa kulokhu kuliphupho. Asikabona ama-youth centers la pe-province okubhaliweyo. Sifisa ukuthi ngabe uminister ngananzelela kakhulu ngoba okuningi osokwenzakala i-crime rate sikhali indaba zama-drugs ukuthi abantu abatsha kabala lapha abangathola khona indawo yokuthi bathole i-recreation facility. But i-recreation facility esiyifisayo it's a hub. Ingabi ngeyokudlalela kuphela but kube lokunye ngama-courses okuyabe kukhona i-vocational training. Siyananzelela kakhulu ukuthi uhulumende wethu was-separate i-Ministry of Youth wathi vocational and development. Let's make sure that there are resources that are channeled towards youth, Ministry of Youth. Then also enza kubamba okokugcina i-social protection. I-social protection singakhangela i-DSD ama-resources athola amalutshwane. Kodwa ukuthi azavela ngaphi njengokuthi animane kuzini. Kunzima ukuthi mphendule but i-situation esesikiyo in terms of ama-drugs. We talk of teenage pregnancy. Nxa sikhumbula kahle umnyaka wona lo ngoJuni sitshela ukuthi kulabantwana abayi-608 abazithweleyo. Imali efunakalayo ukuthi igcine abantwana labana ngoba ngumntwana lomntwana below the age of 14 uselomntwana. Umntwana lona kumele akhangelwe athole social protection. So imali esidinga ukuthi ngabe iyatholakala ifakwe towards i-social protection. Sikhangele futhi indaba ze-rehabilitation. You know ukuthi eZimbabwe ama-rehabilitation centers ethu malutshwane. Siyabonga eHarare kulenye evuliweyo but sifuna ukuthi ngabe ama-resources ayachanelwa khona ngale. But i-rehabilitation kayisiyo yodwa enganqobo. Sifuna i-prevention engukhuluma emuva ngalo ukuthi asimake sure ukuthi there are recreation areas and make sure that i-vocational training iya-enhanced, i-skill kasi-enhanced amongst young people. Ngicina ngokuthi iZimbabwe is a youthful country. Let's make sure that ama-resources ethu amaningi ngaye kwabantwini abatsha ngoba we want to harness the demographic dividend ekhona.
DSD the resources that are channeled to DSD awakho enough ukuthi bacover everything that they need to cover. Ngikhuluma kumanje not wonke ama-orphanages ale social worker phakathi, meaning ukuthi those are children abadlule i-trauma. Let's put that in mind. Ususa ku-point a place that was deemed ukuthi is-inconducive for their development and wasiwa ku-place of safety. But how is it a place of safety if there is no counseling for leyo trauma umntwana adluleyo? Akuna counseling. Abanye because of i-trauma kuba lama-behavioral changes. There's no rehabilitation. Umntwana uzafike 18 years engayenzelwanga lutho aqeda abuyiselwe futhi khona phana asuswe khona. And by rehabilitation we also need to put in mind ukuthi even the family that the child is being removed from needs to be rehabilitated because lo mntwana siyambuyisela futhi khona phana. Kuma-situations amaningi uthola ukuthi either the trauma iyaba-triggered mase bebuyela or iya-continue because usually the perpetrator is still there. Uhleli ulindele ukuthi umntwana akuphendule. So besicela ukuthi kube lama-in-house social workers in every facility. Number one. Number two, ama-facilities e-government. Angifuni ukugqama amanga, most orphanages or residential childcare facilities are government. Isimo esiphakathi asikhona. The food that you are giving abantwana abahlala kuma-orphanages our government. Private facilities will be there kungcono akufani but our government abantwana badla ibhizi ezilempeshana. Ngiyazicelela lami ngumntwana wakhulele orphanage ukuthi the food that you give abantwana bakuma-orphanages kakube the improvement, the clothes, sanitary, ama-toilets abangena ngiyo. Angazi if kulesikhathi maybe lingangena 1 or 2 facilities libona okuphakathi laphayana phese i-percent le-tuve liyezibonela okuphakathi ukuthi abantwana bagqokani bahamba ngonyawo abalama-pads ukudla angifuni nokugcizelela futhi ukuthi badlala. And then finally siyenze i-research as i-organization and we realized that there's very few mental health awareness initiatives ayenzakalayo in the country. Yet we are dealing with youth. Like he said, Zimbabwe is a youthful country. How are we going to deal with the youth? Economy, I know we're expected to keep a stiff lip about this, but economy are eco-friendly to EU. So EU resorted to drugs and substance abuse, and they are going through a lot of mental health issues. Yet there is nothing ANC-wide. So we're still put system are trying to put in mind, since we're dealing with youth, let's create a trauma-informed system.
Bulawayo siyakhala ngamanzi bakithi. Besikhangela ukuthi uhulumende uzathatha udaba lwakobulawayo lwamanzi ngokuphangisa ngokusheshsha ukuthi lube ludaba aphakama ngalo. Kodwa sibone ngani ukuthule. Siyacela ku budget ukuthi kasakhelwe idamu kobulawayo.
ngoba liyabona ukuthi ipopulation yako Bulawayo iyanda, abantu bayasuka khona ngala basuka khona, abavela khona babuya ko Bulawayo la ngoba bafuna ukuzodinga imali. Sesibaningi kakhulu, amadamu akusela amanzi, yikho sokusenza ukuthi uBulawayo usememetheke ngabantu kodwa amanzi kasila. Silezi indawo ezinjengabo City Park okuhlala i1 week yonke kungela amanzi, abantu sebeze bethatha amanzi esuwa, wona lawana esuwa gelezayo yiwe sesiwathatha siflasha ngawo. So anto liyabona ukuthi sizagcina sisifa siphela kwa Bulawayo ngemkhuhlane. Sibuye ku health, kakuthathi imali yama minerals ekhona ingene ku health ihambe lapha. Antiyabona ukuthi siyadubeka, ngabe liyakwazi ukuthi sidube kanjani lingene empilo libone. Ngikho sicina sesilabo bogus doctor ngoba sithwele nzima phela. Umuntu sesithe ngahamba ngene esibhedlela efike ngudokotela, ngizahamba la kuye ngoba mina ngiswele kambe nxa ngizabhalela iprescription, ngizabhalela amaphilisi engakwanisi. Kodwa nxa sengibona ubogus doctor wathi niki $20, ngiyamnika ngoba mina ngifuna ukwelatshwa yena uzandingela amaphilisi. So ukuthi ko Bulawayo thina isizwe sethu sizapha sipheli. Uhulumende bakithi kumali yebudget bengicela ukuthi idamu la ko Bulawayo kalakhwe. Sathaba sibusisizwa kuthiwa kulo Zambezi Water Project kodwa waphelele emoyeni uZambezi Water Project. Siyacela bakithi imali yezinara la ama minerals kayibuye iyakhe idamu la ko Bulawayo.
My name is Matthias Tinyamande. I'm a student at NAST. I'm a peer educators president at NAST also there. But most of all, I'm a youth living in a place called Mpopoma here in Bulawayo. But my commenting right now would be on the sector or the basement of education. So I would love to try and communicate out the issue that education should not be considered as a business basement or a way in which some tend to actually gain something from it and financially improve themselves. The number of students that we are having dropping out in institutions right now is increasing day in and day out. And the concerns of the future of those children is something that does affect us on a daily basis. Having to start a course with someone that you definitely hope that you're going to finish together, but the prices of education that are being put in place right now are not affordable for the children that are in institutions. Having to pay the fees that is twice the payment salary of your parent, that is a civil servant, is something that should not be considered and something implemented. Nkanyelu mame holi 200 kodwa fees yami 400. Uzoyithatha kupay 200 ukuthi emphatalele. Yebo ngikhulile kodwa labazali abafuna ukunakekela. But now that education seems to be a difficulty or a privilege, it seems now we are being reversed back to the French Revolution, whereby education was only for those who are rich and privileged. So only if you are to consider a system in which each and every child is to be given or armed with education, then we will be a progressive nation. The future generation that we are trying to create and make sure that is progressing is not going to happen so in as much as we are implementing these fees and putting up fees that are not normal. $1,000 is a lot of money for someone to pay as fees in a tertiary institution. In as much as you would say that a tertiary institution is something that is a place in which you choose to go to by choice, there should be a means in which affordability for everyone is met and consideration of every class is something that is met. Moving on, I believe the issue of the high increase in the substance abuse and drugs by the youth. These children are not able to afford the dreams that they really wanted to take on when they attended these institutions. Hence, they divert their focus to drugs due to things like mental health situations whereby people are depressed and they consider drugs to be the only means in which they can actually escape. So if education can be affordable, and then we can be in a position to encourage the youth and tell them that you can rather be educated and use that as a way in which you escape poverty, but rather education has now become a system that is pointed out to the privileged. So if we are able to consider this basement of education and solve this problem that we have in hand, and then it will be easy to solve other issues that are around. They are what we call cause of causes. And I believe that the issue of drug and substance abuse can actually be pointed back to the system of education that has managed to not only increase us, but rather effectively fail us and makes us to think twice whenever we decide to attend or attain any kind of educational qualification. So if that is put into consideration, I believe will be progressive. And then moving on to the issue of maybe condom provision that was mentioned, I believe it is a major consideration that has to be put into implementation by the government. We need to make sure that people are well protected and people are given the healthy measures and security that is needed. Because when you are looking at this generation, you are looking at the youth and you are saying that these are the people that are going to lead. We are not going to lead as long as we are affected by these things that are being ignored. If the government has to focus on these little things as they would consider them to be little things, please do focus on them. For among those little things is where the major development and contribution is yet to be given to this country as Zimbabwe. And I believe that the day that we stop talking about things that matter like this is the day that we stop living as a country.
INASCO kusitsho ukuthi National Associations for the Care of the Handicapped. Mina ngizakhuluma nge-Public Assistance Fund social welfare. I-fund leyi ngencedisa abantu ukuthi bathole ukuphila. Thina abantu abakhubazekileyo le i-fund vele ngingathi ayisincedi ngendlela okumele isincede ngayo. I-fund leyi itholwa ngabalutshwana. Abalutshwana labo bethola ama$20 and ayikho consistent. Bayithola hlezi once a year imali leyo. Thina esikucelayo ukuthi sonke abakhubazekileyo elizweni lethu leZimbabwe kube le database kwazakale ukwenzela ukuthi i-fund leyi incede umuntu wonke. Njalo sicela i-fund leyi ibe pegged kusetshenziswa i-poverty datum line. Kusitsho ukuthi ngaleyo ndlela sibona ngani phose imali leyo inganceda ngoba i$20 uyabuya yenzani ngayo worse uyithola once a year. Thina abakhubazekileyo impilo zethu zinzima, izidingo zethu zinengi. Njengomzekeliso ngathi like esihamba okusincedisayo ekuhambeni, things like ama crutches, ama calipers, ama wheelchairs, ama hearing aids, ama lotions la asetshenziswa ngabanye bethu abale albinism. Kunjalo ekuphileni kwethu abanye sidinga usizo lomuntu engabe ngiphila naye engathi ungassistant kumbe uhelper. So kumele kube imali sibili ephekwa kuhle ukuthi kubone ukuthi indleko zonke lezo ziba covered. Ngingakafiki ekuthi ngidle. Ukudla kwethu kuyachiyana kusiya ama disabilities achiyeneyo. Alokudla okudingakalayo ukuthi umuntu akudle kusiya ngedisability yakhe. Ukuphila ngokucela kubuhlungu ngoba nxa ucela kuthi ukuthi lo omcelayo uza kunika khona lokhu alakho. Angithi njengomzekeliso isigqoko, mina ngigqoka usize 32, engimcelayo ugqoka usize 42. Angihlakubona already ukuthi isigqoko engisitholayo usize 42, mina ngingusize 32. So which means kimi kuyabe kulihuba lesigqoko, but angina choice ngoba ngiphila ngokucela. So thina siyakholelwa njengabakhubazekileyo ukuthi nxa singathola i-public assistance leyi ephegwe kuhle ngiyakwanisa ukuthi empilweni yami lami ngibe le choice. Ngiyethenga isigqoko se-choice yami, ngiyekudla ukudla okufaneleyo kumbe ukudla kwe-choice yami.
From NASCO, so I have a few issues to highlight. Looking at issues of tax, transportation, as well as corruption. So looking at tax, the National Disability Policy of 2021 proposed a funding model known as a disability levy. It is said to note that 3 years after that, that disability levy has not been operationalized. That when there were proposals to bring in place the wealth tax, the Honorable Minister was quick to operationalize that. We really need a disability levy, whether taken from the sale of fuel or the sale of alcohol. In Toriro, imagine if we were to tax Toriro. That would go a long way in terms of disability programming. Because for as long as we do not create a specific funding model for people with disabilities, they will continue to be left out in the budget. Because Zimbabwe's budget is not disability sensitive. You can't track funding mechanisms to understand what has been allocated to people with disabilities. Still looking at the issue of tax, we have something known as the disability credit for employees with disabilities, where employees with disabilities are exempted to income tax. But you realize that income tax continues to increase, but disability credit does not increase. This exacerbates the economic cost of disability, which is incurred by persons with disabilities, including employees with disabilities. I noted that the budget strategy paper proposes various or expansion in terms of tax bracket. Can they also consider incentives for private players who want to import vehicles for public use? Because as persons with disabilities, we have a challenge. For instance, giving myself as an example, if ever I want to travel, I should have $10 or more just to come and participate. So why doesn't government then make it easy for private players who want to import vehicles for it to be easy? Looking at issues of corruption, last year the budget allocated 159 million, according to RTGS, to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. But ZimCode noted that in August 2024, only 37% had been disbursed to Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption. Yet corruption is so rampant. As the previous speaker highlighted, public assistance is there. There are people who are getting public assistance. But when you dig deeper, you realize that it's because that person knows someone who is within social welfare. So the proposal is that can we increase the allocations targeted at the Zimbabwe anti-corruption, maybe by 5% every year, because corruption is a priority area and a priority issue. That way, we can ensure that marginalized communities who suffer from acts of corruption can continue to benefit from state service funds and state-related programs. Lastly, looking at the issue of water, the city of Bulawayo requested assistance from central government in January. Central government promised the city of Bulawayo 14 million. To date, only 1 million was disbursed towards water infrastructure. The proposal is that let's have a water relief fund for local authorities as part of disaster and preparedness mitigatory strategies. Because as the city of Bulawayo, we have suffered the effects of El Nino. So unlike central government making promises that it often does not fulfill, let's create a fund where local authorities apply and they are assessed objectively. And if they qualify, they get funding from that. How can we raise funds? We we can raise funds through the recently proposed bowl levy, where they are now charging if he has a private bowl. When the minister was asked, it was said that the money goes towards administration for Zino. Yet Zino has other streams of income. So why not take that part of funding and create a water relief fund so that local authorities can apply towards water infrastructural development? Thank you.
Barai Madiro, Chairperson of Education Coalition of Zimbabwe, Bulawayo chapter. As a coalition, we have got quite a number of issues that we are advocating for. I will just read a few, and I'm going to submit the written document here. We are also advocating for the national budget, a chunk to be allocated to look at the welfare of the teachers. Teachers, all of us to be here, were passed through the hands of teachers. Even the honorables that are in front of us here, they've passed through the hands of the teachers. And you find out teachers are the least paid in the country. Imagine someone who is earning $200, want to pay rent, want to go to work. My children are supposed to go again to school. That $200 is just too little. And we are having problems in our schools. We are having teachers that are there, but practically their minds are not there. That's why we are having little problems in our schools. We are having issues of drug and substance because our pupils, our students, they are not being attended to. In reality, if you are going to go into schools and see what is happening there, you are going to see the teacher is much occupied about trying to find out where can I get in extra money. They are selling jigs, they are selling sweets. 3/4 of the time, the student will be playing. That's the reality, if you are going to go there and see. So we are saying, can the national budget, can we have a bigger chunk that is going to be allocated to the welfare of the teachers?
My concern is on the value of the pension that people receive when they retire, especially in the last 3 years. Actually, it's not meaningful. And currently, actually, I got mine yesterday. I only bought a pack of 18 tissues for toilet. So that was the pension in SIG. And I've worked for 41 years in the Ministry of Higher Education. First in Higher Education College, and then in Higher Education University. And then there's an issue there. The link for pension from government, higher education, to what they call parastatal, which is university, but it's still higher education. So unlike NASA, so if you my NASA continued, but the pension, no, it stopped when you are in higher education, government, directly government, but you go to higher education, university, you start afresh as if you have not been working before. So I think there's need for a policy to align, because you are still in the Ministry of Higher Education. Universities are funded by the government. The same Ministry of Higher Education that funds the tertiary institutions directly. So it is a real concern that if you have been working so hard for 41 years and making this country develop, developing manpower, and then in the end you are a pauper. You can't buy any food. You can't do anything. And my other concern is that the university pension scheme is not meant by government. It's meant by a private sector. I won't mention, but that private sector says we are told by government to do this, and what they give the pensioners is, I'll use the word peanuts, it's really small. It's nothing to talk about compared to the government looks after the workers who are in higher education directly very well. We have US dollar component and the SIG component. In the other sector, there's just the SIG component, which can just buy you the tissues, which I've just been telling you about. So I think there's need for redress in that situation. And I also go to church. This is not political party, it's for the church. This uniform that I'm wearing, I'm going to a funeral afterwards. So Sorry, I didn't know Ricardo is not allowed here. But what I wanted to say is in the Bible, we are told that you must honor your father and your mother. You must honor your parents. And I've seen those countries in the world which are developed. They honor their elderly. And you don't see elderly suffering at the post office, POSB, when there is no network, and they are lying there, they've had no food, and some a whole week just to come and get $20. So I think there's not just a need to redress those in higher education, but all-round pension schemes, I think they are, the elderly, they are being dishonored by just being given those paltry amounts. I think we need to think about that. And some of the people that are employed in these pension offices, I think they need training. Some, they don't care. What I'm saying, that the honoring of elderly is no longer there. You find someone insulting an old person and saying, an old person who can hardly walk with a walking stick, and they are treated so badly. So I think we need that redress. And also, the last point, the president of the nation always says, you should not leave anybody behind. And I think the Ministry of Finance should take this prioritize the pensions that are given to people. Because if the president says leaving no one behind, and you are leaving the elders behind, and you don't care, I think we are not fulfilling his mantra.
National Association for Societies to the Care of the Handicapped. Initiative yangu pa national budget iri panyaya disaster risk management. Sokona kwatiri kuita mamiriro kunzi ari kuita achishanduka. Tiri kuwanza weather disasters ari kuitika. Saka tiri kuti dai zvaigona vanhu vane disabilities vaifungwawo nezvavo panoitika zvinhu zvakata saizvozvo. Kuti kuve nedatabase yavanhu vane disabilities, maybe at district level, at ward level, zvinhu zvakadaro, kuitira kuti panenge pakuitika madisasters iwawo department ye-Cite View inenge ichizivawo kuti vanhu ivavo vari papi, then kustaff iyo yokutrainewewo kuti vangabatsira sei vana disabilities kana kwaitika madisasters akata seiwawo, nokuti mararamiro edu haana kufanana nevamwe vese. Kazhinji pazvinoitika uchazoona kuti macasualties mazhinji anowanikwa kuvanhu vane disabilities. Saka ndaifunga kuti pakaone database vanenge vachiziva kuti area yakati kuna vanhu vane disabilities ndokupi, kuti vaida kubatsirwa zvoitwawo nenguva kwayo. Then ndaida kunditaura futi neside education of the disabled, zvikundakanakana nevisual impairment. Tanga tifunga kuti panoitwa curriculum development kubazi iroro kuvewo navamwe vane disabilities vanenge vachivi kuti pazvinoitwa vanenge vachikwanisa kuita input dzavo kuti izvi zvinoita here kana kuti hazvizoiti, kuita kuti pari kuwana mwana anosara kunze kweurongwa hunenge huchiitwa. Ndikufunga ndizvinhu zvakaita sekala payakaitiwa ndofunga yakashungurudza vanhu vakawanda, asi ukazotarisa kuti yakabhenefitawo kana kuti iri kubhenefita here kuvanhu vane disability vazhinji, zvimwe zvacho hazvikwanisiki. Asi dai kuti department iyoyo kwainge kune mumwe ane disability of some sort, ainge achizoadvisawo kuti zvinhu zvikatiwana maitiro akadai kuna vamwe vasingazokwanisi kuti vabatsirike kuti vakwanisewo kupinda mukati mazvo. Saka ndonga zvakakosha kuti iroro bato iroro rivewo navamwe vane disabilities kumusoro ikoko.
There are a number of ways that you can partner with us as a site. Number one, you can like our programming, like our programs, share our programs. Number two, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to a member of the site YouTube channel. And number three, you can also go to Facebook, like our page there, pass your feedback and comment on all programs that we have as site. You can visit our website, www.site.org.zw, to read more of our interesting stories. Every day, we share stories with you, and subscribe to our newsletter, the daily newsletter there that we have. And also, you can partner with us by promoting your services, your products with Asake Online. We have a marketing team to promote your services and products. Hope you guys enjoy the show today. We're looking at the issue of budget consultation meetings happening in Bulawayo, one of them being a Pongula Hall and other being a Cell Point Hotel. Hope you guys enjoy the show. From myself, Brighton Nube, it's bye for now.